Hey guys, welcome back. It's another Thursday, which means another edition of Traeger Kitchen Live. Today I'm your host, Chad Ward, with Skillet Barbecue, and we've got a great menu laid out for you. So we're going to be doing a Snake River Farms Wagyu beef tenderloin. So we're going to take you all the way through. There's a lot of savings you can have by buying an untrimmed tenderloin from your grocer or your meat market. So we're going to walk you through that completely untrimmed, how to break that down, how to get the best cuts for these awesome family gatherings. Then we're gonna do some cast iron potatoes. Really quick, easy dish, but goes along great. Actually works out well with this kind of cook cycle that we're gonna do on the beef tenderloin. And we're gonna kick it all off with a peach cocktail with a little bit of whistle pig. So we're gonna go through that, and feel free while you're here, ask questions, comments, anything like that. We've got Nicole and Paul here that'll be getting us getting me those questions, and we'll get them answered. So we will go ahead and start off with the cocktail. And what we're going to do is we have some peaches. You know what? We're going to wait about 5 minutes. I was supposed to put these peaches on a couple minutes ago. I got them all ready. And we got into all the countdown and this and that, and forgot to slide them on the grill. So we're going to give those about 5 minutes. But while I'm doing that, let me talk to you a little bit about why you like to utilize the grill for cocktails. So obviously when you're building a cocktail, you're trying to add as many different components and flavors to it as possible. So smoke can just be one element of that, or grilled, either one. So you'll notice what we did there is we kind of cut the peaches up, about 6 pieces per peach, so cut them in half, 3 pieces out of each side. And then we took some of the Traeger simple syrup. So the way we make this simple syrup is we actually smoke the vanilla beans and then press those into the simple syrup. So that's how you get a smoked simple syrup. And just brush that on there, throw them on the grill, 8-12 minutes, depending on the doneness you want. Then we'll pull them off, and we're gonna end up throwing them in the cocktail glass and muddling those to get a little bit of that smoke, a little bit of that crisp from the grill also, kind of a little bit of grilliness into that cocktail. So you can do it a lot. The one thing when you grill fruits, especially at a higher temperature, this is at 400, what happens is it kind of takes and pulls some of the moisture out of that, which if it's a grapefruit, it's going to make it more tart. If it's sweet like a peach, it's going to make it sweeter. So it kind of increases the Brix level when you pull some of that moisture out. So that's what we're doing there. Whistle Pig, let's talk a little bit about them. They're a sponsor of, we work with at Traeger, one of our partners. Great whiskey up there in New York State. This is a rye we're going to be using today as the key ingredient there in the cocktail. If you get a chance, you haven't tried it, I fully recommend it. Whistle Pig's just a great brand and has a lot of great products, so make sure and check those out. Any questions yet? Too early? Too early for questions. Haven't got anything complex yet. So a little bit too about the tenderloin. Let's go back to that for a second. So this piece of meat it's one of those that you really eat special occasions. You see it a lot, Christmas, New Year's, those type of things. Great versatile meat. I'm looking forward to kind of getting into it and showing you some different things you can do, whether it be, you know, cut some filet mignon, some steaks, those type of things. Go with the whole center roast and have a nice loin roast for a special occasion for friends and family. So that one is going to be that's going to be great to share with you. The cast iron potatoes, a couple of things. We've got this going right now, and I'm going to end up here in about 15 minutes. I'm going to pull there in foil right now. I'm going to pull that foil off, add some cheese, add a little bit of cheese for about 30 minutes. Then we're going to pull those off, and we're going to have those with our tenderloin. All right, let me get a little hot glove here. Take a look at these. I'm going to give them maybe another 2 minutes. Get a little more to them. They're still just a touch firm. We want those to loosen up and be nice and soft, so when we do muddle them, they're going to break down and release some of those oils.
How ripe should peaches be?
Okay, so the question is, how ripe should the peaches be? When you're grilling them, I like them to be not too ripe, because what's going to happen is, especially if you just take them and throw them on the grate, even if it's just, like, if you're going to put them on the grate, I usually do a half peach. But if they're too ripe already, they're going to get really, really soft. I like to have a nice firm peach when you're going to grill it and allow it to soften up over the heat.
What Traegers are you using?
What Traegers are we using today? We've got two 1300s, Timberlines. So we've got this one set up at 180 super smoke, And we've got this one rolling at 400 degrees.
Can we find this recipe on the app for the cocktail?
Yes, as far as can you find this cocktail recipe on the app? Everything we're going to do today you can find on the app, the Traeger app, or you can go to TraegerGrills.com. That includes the cocktail, that includes the smoked pepper tenderloin, and the cast iron potatoes.
Where can they go to get those shorts?
So where can they go to get these shorts? These are shorts from loudmouthgolf.com. So I've worn Loudmouth Golf shorts, gosh, I guess probably 7-8 years. I like them. They're super comfortable. They allow you to have a statement, and I like wearing black and solid colored shirts, so just you can have something kind of funky going on your shorts and kind of keep it conservative up top. It's kind of the mullet of shorts. It's awesome. Stylish. Anything else? All right, I'm going to pull these peaches off, and we're going to make a cocktail. All right. So, you pull these over here. And
Did you leave the skin on the peaches?
did I leave the skin on the peaches? Yes, we did. But don't you worry, because when we make this cocktail, we're going to strain it, so you won't have to worry about any peach skin. All right, so I'm going to grab my cup here. We're going to go 3 slices of peaches. I like peach, so I'm going to go for the bigger slices. And we're going to get ourselves 5 mints. I like mint too, so I may throw a little 6, the baby one in there, make it my own. And we're going to go with just a touch. We already got some simple syrup on the peaches. Now we're just going to go with a touch in the cocktail. And then, for those of you that don't have a muddler, you can use an ice cream scoop. And we're just going to get in here and muddle this up. What we're doing is we're kind of crushing and releasing some of that flavor in the peach and releasing some of the essential oils in the mint. So we've got that there. Oh, mint escapee. All right, and now I'm going to take a little bit of crushed ice or cubed ice and some Whistle Pig Piggyback 6-year aged rye. And you could use a jigger if you wanted to, but kind of known for the Chad pour, so get in there and get that taken care of. Now we're going to pour this into our cocktail shaker. And I want to get this glass here, give it a little shake, stir it up, and now we have this. Gonna do a little strain. Maybe. Come on, there's. All right. Whoops, had a little bit fall through. Not too much, a little mint. And we're gonna add some more ice. And a sprig of mint. Little garnish. And there we go. It's delicious. Nice. I like it's hot day. I don't know if you can tell here in Florida. The sweat is rolling. But warm day, nice refreshing cocktail. You do actually get a little bit of the grilled flavor from the peaches. The mint comes through really well. And this Whistle Pig rye is one of the smoothest ryes out there. It's a really, really good cocktail. So you guys want to give it a try? Feel free to do so.
What kind of tray did you use for cooking the peaches on?
What was the question? what kind of tray did I use to cook the peaches? So this is just your typical half sheet pan. That was laying around over here, so we just took it, greased it a little bit, and brushed it down with the simple syrup, and threw it on. But these are great. You know, I like using sheet pans for things like that. It's easy cleanup, and it's also a lot easier to be able to grab the whole thing instead of having to go over there with tongs and pull every single slice off.
Which pellets did you use for the peaches, or which kind would you recommend?
Which pellets would I use, or did I use for the peaches, and what would I recommend? So to me, I like something fruit-wise when it comes to fruit. So I'll take like an apple or a cherry. Maple's not bad either, not too overpowering. So those would be three that I like to use in the kind of dessert fruit area. Any other questions? All right. For some of you out there that have a cocktail that's not the one we're doing today, let me know in the comments what you guys are drinking. All right, I am going to change this glove. I'm gonna be dealing with a couple of hot things today, but also it's so hot and sweaty here. I like to use these cotton gloves. It makes it a lot easier to get my gloves on and off without ripping them due to the sweat. Plus, it gives me some nice protection. I'm gonna pick up something that's a little bit warm. All right, so this tenderloin, I literally just took out of the package a couple minutes before we started. So no TV magic. We're gonna break this thing down together. All right, here we go. All right, a little bit of water from our cocktail there. So here we go, and we look at this full beef tenderloin. So what we have here, so let's talk a little bit about where does this come from. So we have the whole loin area on the steer, and you've got the sirloin, the tenderloin, the top sirloin, and the bottom sirloin. So this is that full beef tenderloin, kind of sits right in the middle. The reason it's so tender, melts like butter, it's not a heavy working muscle. So you also notice too, we got a lot of fat connective tissue on here. We're gonna get that off. And this is provided to us by Snake River. Wagyu beef, really delicious. You'll notice some of this fat and connective tissue, just in running my hands over it, I can pull some of it off. And we're gonna get this nice and cleaned up. And you'll notice too that it is, you know, if we look at it like this, we have the fat end all the way down to the thin end. So we're going to talk through how we break that down. But first off, let's just grab our knife and let's get in here. And let's get everything cleaned up. And then once we can see our canvas, we can start breaking this down a little bit. Sometimes, depending on where you buy these at, you can go in and buy it already cleaned up. They're going to be, you know, about 2-3 pounds. Depending on where you buy it, what grade, you could end up being $25-30 a pound. So you can save, even after trimming, you can save about $8 a pound by buying the untrimmed and trimming it up yourself. Plus, you have some different options on what you want to do with it. All right, this silver skin right here, we're going to get rid of it. Easiest way I have found to do that is I'll come in here with the tip of my knife, slide under, pull this out, and then just slowly get that started. And now I can come through here, get that loosened up, and right on through there. But we got to get all that off, because if not, we don't want that. That's not going to cook down. That's not going to break down. That's going to be a textural issue. So we want to be able to get that out of here. Didn't get deep enough right there. Yep. Get that knife tip right through there. Should be able to clean it right up. You always want to make sure, before we went to air, I took my steel and got this nice and sharp. Sharp knife always helps with this, detail work here. So just getting this silver skin off. A little bit tedious, but well worth it. And then there. Come back for that flake fat here in a second. And there's that other big piece, and then we can pull here. Try to save back as much of that good red meat as we can. All right. And then here on this fat end, and I'm going to kind of show you on the grill a little bit later, I go ahead and take it right off. So you'll notice this natural seam right here. Because there's a couple options. You'll see some people that'll come and they'll try to tie this and make it all work out. I like to take it off and cook it separately. So that way I can manage this piece, because if I try cooking this all together, when this is done, this is going to be way under. And when this is done, this is going to be way over. So I want to get this thing nice and uniform. So I'm just going to follow this natural seam right here and take that off. And now we can clean that up separately and cook it. We can cook it, or we can clean this up separately and we can cut it into fillets. We can hold it nice like that and get us about 3 decent, nice thick fillets, filet mignons right out of here. So there's a couple options with that. You can tie it up, cook it as a roast, or you can go ahead and take these small ends off and get you 3 small filet mignons out of that. Got any questions while I'm trimming up here?
What brand of knife are you using, and type of knife best for trimming?
So what type of knife am I using, and what's the best knife for trimming something like this? So this detail work completely lends itself to a fillet knife. I'm using a Shun. Thank you to the wonderful folks at Shun. Great knife, holds an awesome edge. A little bit higher on the price end, but well worth it. It's one of those things you get the quality you buy for. Another one you can look at is they have a sister brand called Kai, a little more economical, Kai. Another great knife, and then Messermeister. So those are kind of the 3 that I really like to use, and I have in my chef's bag, knife roll. Any other questions?
How big is that tenderloin? How much does it weigh?
So the question was, how big is this tenderloin? This tenderloin was 6.2 pounds. We're probably going to end up trimming it down. We'll probably end up taking 1/4 to 1/2 pound off of it, and we'll end up with a couple of smaller pieces along with what's going to be our main roast that they call the Chateaubriand, which is about right here, where you've got all that uniformity. That's what we're going to end up with. Go ahead, any others?
What type of cotton gloves are they, and where can I find them?
Okay, what kind of cotton gloves are these that I'm wearing under here? Don't really know the brand name. GPS. And we sell them at whiskeyventbbq.com. So you can find those there, and you can find the 9mm black nitro gloves. I like the 9mm. They hold up good, and without getting your hands too sweaty. All right, we're going to get over here on the back of this thing and get some of this connective tissue off.
Do you know if you can find whistle pig in Texas?
Dude, the question is, do I know if you can find whistle pig in Texas? I believe you should be able to. I would bet my buddy Doug Scheiding, another Traeger ambassador, is probably watching this live. Douglas/dad. I call Doug my dad sometimes because at events he keeps me in line and says father type things. But yeah, Doug, if you know, Please let them know if you can get whistle pig out there in the great state of Texas. All right, just getting a little bit of that connective tissue and fat off there. Got a little bit here I want to clean up. Some there. And the thing is, when you got a Wagyu like this, you have to really pay attention to make sure it's kind of flake fat or surface fat. Because you'll even on this tenderloin, you'll get some deep marbling that you don't want to get too crazy into. All right, that's good there. It's pretty good there. Now let's go ahead and clean up these tapered ends. So what I really kind of want to do is I come through here and look at where does this really tail off at. And a lot of times, once again, let me say, guys, I mean, the beauty of barbecue is there's so many ways to get a great finished product. Numerous times I've seen guys that'll come in, tuck these, tie it, and it gives them a pretty uniform roast. For me, it's still, even though you tie it really, really tight, it's gonna cook different. So for me, I would rather cut these small ends off, and then I'll throw them on the grill, and then cook these small pieces, and then dice them up as steak bites, and they're delicious. So that's what I'm kind of teaching today. So I'm going to come over here, right here. Let me look again. I think I want to be about right here and about right here. Look at that marbling right there. You don't usually see a lot of marbling on fillets, but that Snake River Wagyu, gorgeous, gorgeous marbling right there in that tenderloin.
What did you do with the trimmings?
So, question is, what could you do with the trimmings? So when it comes to these trimmings, what I will do with them is I will clean this up, cook it as a small roast, just like this. And we're going to talk through that cook process here in a minute. And these, I would clean up, cook whole just like this, and then when you pull them off, you can take them, do some steak bites with them. If you want to do something else, these are also great stir-fry wise. Just remember, not a ton of fat, so don't overcook them. This is definitely a meat that does not deserve to die twice because of the cost. So, there we go. Can I get one of those small pans? Get this cleared out of here so you guys can see what we are working with. Put these back in the cooler real quick. So what pellets do I recommend for a heartier smoke flavor? I'm going to go with the heavier woods there. So we can go with mesquite, hickory, Texas blend, big game blend. All those are blends that are going to be a heavier wood that'll give you a little heavier smoke profile. Also remember too, if you're using one of the grills that has the super smoke feature, you can always use that to push more flavor. All right, so there she is. Now we're gonna make what I call a slather. Something we can put on the outside here. Gonna give it a little bit of flavor. We're gonna take Dijon mustard. Some of our minced garlic. And some of our delicious whistle pig rye whiskey. And this is going to give it a nice little application of flavor. And what we're going to do Just mix this up real nice. I'm gonna put it on this, lightly on this loin and saran wrap, and then you let it set out at room temperature for an hour and kind of seep into that meat. Any questions while I'm getting my stir on?
Would you ever suggest using a smoke tube?
So, question was, would I ever suggest using a smoke tube? You can. I mean, for me, I always feel like smoke is another layer of flavor to the meat. I'm one of those when it comes to barbecue. I don't like anything to overpower the meat. Smoke, sauce, spice, none of it. It should all be kind of a beautiful ballet. So for me, I don't need the smoke tube, but if you like a heavier smoke, if you grew up on a stick burner with that kind of heavy smoke flavor, then yeah, you could use a smoke tube. For me, I own one. I've used it for cold smoking cheese. You know, put some cheese in your Traeger, don't turn it on. Throw the smoke tube in there, gives it some heat, gives it some smoke. Easy way to smoke cheese. All right, so for any of you that have been to any of my in-person classes, you will know I have a hate-hate relationship with cling wrap. It has made me look foolish so many times. These big fingers and hands, and it always ends up folding up on me. So I'm going to try to take it nice and easy with this. I'm sure I'll mess it up. Give you guys something to rib me about. I'm going to go with 2 pieces here because this is a touch wide. And it's not one of those either, like foil, where you can just pull it apart before the show and everything will be fine. Nah, can't do that. So, the only thing I laughed about when I saw this recipe to do Traeger Kitchen Live was I was like, I love tenderloin, but I hate cling wrap. But hey, we're all in this together. Yeah, see? Part of the fun of it. I'm not going back for a second piece. I'm going to make it work. It's all right if everybody wants to put their little laughy emojis in the comments. Feel free to. I won't get offended when I go back and watch. All right, so we're just going to lay this right here in the middle. And then we're going to take the slather and just kind of work it across and down the sides. Just kind of let it waterfall down, if you will. And just apply it nice thin. You don't want it too heavy, but we want to make sure we get good coverage on it. Any questions while I'm applicating? No questions. All right. And we're going to reserve a touch here for the backside. And all right. Spread this out real quick.
Scott Reynolds has a tip for you. To use the cling wrap rolls from Costco. They are heavy enough to set on the table and much more manageable.
Well, thank you so much, Scott. I am going to do that, my friend, because life's too short to wrestle with cling wrap. All right. So now we're just going to come up here. Get this. Get that. Close up the ends. And then we will let this sit at room temp for an hour. I'm not going to be with you in an hour, so you have to take my word for it. But that is the plan. So I'm just going to put that right under there. Clean up. Well, actually, yeah, let me clean up this glove real quick because I have one that's been sitting out for the last hour.
Can you repeat what's in the slather recipe?
Yes, I can repeat what is in the slather recipe. So it's in the smoked peppered beef tenderloin recipe, but it is 2 cups Dijon mustard, 2 cloves of garlic minced, and 2 tablespoons of bourbon, rye whiskey, whatever you'd like. So I've got one here that I've had slathered up and resting.
Does the Dijon mustard keep its taste when cooking?
Dijon, you know, almost. So the question was, does the Dijon mustard keep its taste when cooking? I can pick up a touch of it, but mustard is one of those binders that it's really kind of just used as a binder. Believe it or not, like I'm sure people have seen in videos, etc., where people use mustard as a binder on pork butt or on ribs, and it does not come through as a mustardy flavor. It really cooks off. Dijon, you get a little bit more of it, but nothing that's overpowering or takes away from the meat. All right, here's our one that we have had sitting out. Would I suggest using the smaller trimmings for a burger grind? Yes, you could do that. The small ends, you could definitely take, just remember you're gonna have to add some fat to that for burger, just because you don't have a ton of fat in that tenderloin.
Could I make this tenderloin with my Wi-Fi Pro 780 in the app?
Can I make this recipe, this tenderloin recipe, on a 780 Wi-Fi with the app? I believe you should be able to. Shouldn't be any reason. I know it's on the app, so yeah, you should be able to use that, be able to push that recipe to the grill. All right, and here we are. So we've got our slathered tenderloin, and just gonna clean up this cutting board a touch. And we are going to super simply season this. It's gonna be salt and pepper. So when I use the salt, I like to use a good kosher size sea salt. So we're gonna lay that down, just like with any seasoning. The higher up you go, the more control you get. You know, if I try seasoning it down here, it's real concentrated. If I get a little bit higher, I can control my coverage a lot better. So we'll hit that side with salt. Now some pepper. One of the things to bring up here is if you want something a little bit different, a couple of other rubs that I've used on tenderloin that's been really delicious is the Traeger prime rib rub. I've also used the Traeger beef rub. And I've used Whiskey Bent the Rocks or the Grind, and all 4 of those are great bets on a beef tenderloin.
Could you sub the whiskey and the slather for another type of alcohol?
Question is, could you sub the whiskey and the slather for another type of alcohol? I've never tried it. I don't think like a vodka or a rum would be very good. Maybe a fine cognac, you know? I haven't tried that. I don't know. Have to do some experimenting around. If you do, let me know. All right. So we got this seasoned up. Looks delicious, love it. And now we're going to throw it on the Traeger at 180. So I told you I had some meats some of the ends that I had thrown on to show you what you can do with them. And here they are. So we're going to take this off at 180. These are around 115 degrees. And we're going to throw them on our 400 degree grill. And let them get a little high heat. And so let's talk a little more detailed about this cook process. So we start at 180. If you have a ironwood, Tenderloin, feel free to use super smoke. And what we're doing is we're just letting that smoke penetrate that tenderloin and get a good smoke flavor to it. And we're going to do that for about 60 minutes or until it hits an internal about 115 degrees. When it hits 115 degrees, you're going to pull it off. Here I've got 2 grills for the sake of making this short, but if I were at home with just one, I'm going to take that tenderloin off, crank the grill up to 400 degrees. Once it hits 400, throw that tenderloin back on there and going to cook it 20 to 30 minutes. But what I really care about is the internal temperature. You're going to want to go to an internal temperature of about 130. That's going to give you a nice medium rare. If you want medium, go up a couple more degrees. If you want anything more than medium, I'm not saying this to be mean, don't buy beef tenderloin. Don't spend that kind of money to cook medium well beef tenderloin. Go kill a sirloin twice or something. Leave that precious tenderloin for us folks that like medium and below. And that's my public service message for today. All right, let me clean this board up. And so all in all, you're at about a 75 to 90 minute cook. On these small pieces, I just cut it down just a little bit. I went 45 minutes and it'll probably be 10 minutes on this side. But on that regular center cut, like we just threw on, and like the one we're gonna slice here in a bit, that's what we're gonna do.
Speaking of your cutting board, do you know what size that is?
So speaking of the cutting board, do you know what size this is? I do not. I know that it was almost too dang small for a tenderloin, and I do have to thank my buddy Patrick Mulligan, Mully BBQ, that sent me this as a thank you present. I love this board. Really, really nice. I do not know the size of it though. 16 by 12 maybe? Something like that.
What's your go-to cocktail to drink while grilling?
What is my go-to cocktail when I'm grilling? I am a huge Tito's vodka fan. So I'll do Tito's and LaCroix or any other sparkling water. I love that one, especially during the summer. Hot. It's really nice and refreshing. Today, we've had the Whistle Pig cocktail here. Very delicious. We also got some Tullamore Dew Irish whiskey and diet ginger ale. That's pretty refreshing. So, about 3 beverages kicking it back around there. So I gave you options. Or you got the good old Busby back there, Mick Ultra.
How coarse is the pepper you use?
So how coarse was the pepper that I used? Definitely wasn't a fine pepper. It was coarse ground. Don't know what number it was, but your typical coarse ground pepper. I like that on a roast like this, especially with the sea salt. The finer the granule, the better of a bark you're going to build on it. So I like a little bit more coarse pepper. Any others? I just want to sanitize this board since we're going to cook. Since we're going to slice up some finished product on it. Make sure all the all right, we good on questions? All right, so before we get into slicing this up, let's talk about our side dish. Well, which brings it to a point. Glad I mentioned it. I need to take the foil off of here, and we're going to add some cheese to our potatoes. So we got some shredded, mild cheddar shredded cheese. That we are adding in here. And we're going to give that baby about 10 minutes, and it will be raring to go. Slide that handle back in. So let's talk about that side dish there. So that's the cast iron potatoes. Super simple. So about 2.5 pounds of potatoes peeled. Then you're gonna take your mandolin, get some nice slices, not too thin, about mid-size, about 1/8 of an inch. So they will break down, so they don't take too long to cook. Then we're gonna go with some. So we butter up. That's a 9-inch cast iron. Butter the bottom and the sides. Put down a layer of potatoes. Put down a layer of thinly sliced onion. Then you're going to go with a couple of 2 tablespoons of cubed butter and a cup of cheese, mild shredded cheese. And then lay that down. Then the next layer, we're going to repeat it: potatoes, onion, butter. Leave the cheese off. Cover it 60 minutes at 375 or 350. And then after those 30 minutes covered, take it off at 350. You're going to add the cheese, cook it another 20-30 minutes. The reason I'm shortening this one up is my grill's at 400 because I'm finishing off these roasts, so I'm going to cut that cook time down just a bit. Any questions?
Can you say what temp medium rare is again?
So for us on these, so what temp is medium rare? For us on these tenderloin roast beef tenderloins, we're going to pull it about 130. And after it rests and finishes, it's going to leave us right there, 132, 133, medium rare.
Where can you buy the pigtail?
So the question is, where can you buy the pigtail? Which, by the way, pigtail is one of my favorite accessories ever. Quick story, came to work at Traeger. Said, hey man, if you can use our accessories, use as many of them as you want. And I was like, what's that hook thing? Like, who would ever use that? And I remember I didn't have tongs and I didn't have a spatula in the event, but I had a pigtail. And I used the pigtail the whole event, and I absolutely love it. It's great for roasts, tri-tips, racks of ribs, chicken breasts, thighs, everything, man. I'm a hooker now. I use a pigtail. But you can find these. I think we may be out of stock, but go check TraegerGrills.com shop, and we have a whole line of new accessories, and the new pigtail is pretty badass. All right. Let me move this out of the way. And we're going to look at getting started on slicing up this roast. I'm going to pull it out first, show you guys, kind of talk through what it looks like. And let me clean up this knife real quick.
Why sea salt over kosher?
So why sea salt over kosher? Once again, it gets down to the size of the salt. I like a coarser salt when I'm doing roasts like that. So that's why I use the kosher one, not the kosher one, the sea salt instead. To me, that fineness of the kosher, and then when you go to actually apply it, you can almost get a little bit over application. So I think between the bark that you get and the crust, that's the reason I like it better. All right, let me get some gloves on, and by the magic of TV, we have a roast done. All right, and one thing is, remember when you want this to be able to rest. So after it hits that 130, I would take it, put it on the cutting board. Being a 2.5 pound piece of meat, probably needs to rest 20-30 minutes. If you're ready to serve, that's fine. After it rested 20 minutes, you can slice it. If not, wrap it back up in foil. You can put it in a dry cooler, an unlit oven, anything that's just got some insulation to help it keep warm without overcooking. But make sure you let it rest to 20 minutes before doing that, because if you don't, then you run a chance of it actually overcooking, because you're taking it off the grill, putting it in foil, and it never stops. So you want to put it at room temperature and let that cooking process finish. So here we go. That is our roast. Gorgeous. Beautiful little crust to it. Now we're just going to come through always with beef. We can see the grain running this way. So we're just going to take our knife and get in here and get some beautiful slices. Yeah, I'm really liking the looks of this. Perfect medium rare. So if we go right there even on the end, that's what happens. We've got this perfect doneness all the way through. And that's why, it's really why, guys, we want to make sure and we start out with a nice round roast. Fan these out a little bit for a little bit of presentation. We always eat with our eyes first. Remember that. And then, so there we go. There's that. And then, make something extra for you guys today. Thank you. Threw in one bonus coverage, freebie. And that is a delicious horseradish sauce to go with it. I love horseradish with tenderloin. So this is Julie Madden, Girl Meets Grill. This is her horseradish dip recipe that she shared with me. We used it at the Dan Patrick show over Christmas. We did a tenderloin, huge hit. Paul, where'd you put those spoons at? Oh, got them right here. All right, so we're going to get us a spoon a touch of this horseradish over the top. So in this, we've got, and if you guys want this recipe, I will post it on my Instagram story tonight, and you can go grab it there. But it is a cup of sour cream, quarter cup of mayo. It has a little bit of garlic in it. It's got some chives, salt, pepper. Really, really delicious, really simple. When I make this, though, I like to make it about 3-4 hours ahead of time. Let it sit up in the fridge. You can even make it overnight if you want, and let all those flavors come together. So let me take a look at our taters. Oh, yeah. So, potatoes are good.
What type of potatoes did you use?
So what type of potatoes did I use? I used russet potatoes. So you could use whatever you kind of desired, but I really like russet potatoes for this dish. So the question was, did I use the shelf for cooking the potatoes, or did I use the bottom grill grate? On this, I used the middle shelf of the Timberline. I kind of like it there. I feel like it cooks a lot more evenly, so that's why I went there.
I only have one Traeger. How can I do both tenderloin and potatoes?
Okay. So question is, I only have one Traeger. How can I do both the tenderloin and the potatoes? And kind of what I'm going to have to recommend for you there is get another Traeger. No, in all seriousness, what I would do is when I cranked up to 400 to finish it, I would slide my potatoes on. Because really, if you think about it, once you pull the tenderloin off, you've let it rest, you can hold it a little bit longer, you can get those potatoes done in about an hour after the tenderloin's been pulled off. So it kind of will work out right timing. So I would just wait until you get to that 400 step on the tenderloin, and boom, go ahead and slide some these taters on there too.
Can the same recipe be used for filet mignon?
So can this same recipe be used for filet mignon? Guys, beef tenderloin, when you cut it into steaks, is filet mignon. So, exactly. So it's a, when you break down the beef tenderloin and you cut it into 2.5, 3-inch steaks, that is a filet mignon. So to directly answer the question, yes, you can use the same recipe because we just did. No other questions? All right. So guys, here we are. We have our, there we go. We have our potatoes. We have our tenderloin, and we have our sauce. I'm going to go for the end piece here. It's tender as a mother's love right there. That is delicious. I mean, you could cut this with a plastic spoon. I mean, it's just so good, so velvety. Love this cut. Then you add the horseradish sauce on top. Sorry, I'm just having a moment. And just the right amount of smoke. Not overpowering it. Complimentary. I just love it. The salt and pepper is enough. Seasoning, doesn't need anything else. Truly, truly delicious. And now, for a taste of taters, I bet these are going to be like lava. Small bite. Hot. A little hotter. Delicious. Once again, salt, pepper seasoned. A little bit of salt from the cheese. Really, really delicious dish. And I mean meat and taters. Doesn't get any more American than that. So, great dish. If you guys want to check it out, you can go to the Traeger app. All 3 recipes, including the cocktail, are there. Thanks to our friends at Whistle Pig. Great whiskey, great cocktail. If you want to hang around about 8:15 Eastern, so about 20 minutes, we'll be over on Traeger's Instagram account. And Julie Madden, Girl Meets Grill, will be interviewing me. We'll kind of recap the class and how everything went. And if you have any questions, you can ask them now. You can ask them there. To stay in touch with me, if you'd like, the easiest way is Instagram. My handle is Whiskey BBQ. If you have a question, feel free to hit me up on DMs and we can do that. And then also remember, this is going to live on Facebook on the Traeger page. So tell all your friends about it. Have them come check it out. And if you need to reference it, you can always come back here. Got a couple of questions. Oh, yes. One favor. So Nicole's been here with us the whole time, doing all these Traeger Kitchen Lives. She had to work today, and because of coronavirus, as a firefighter, they couldn't take any time off. But Chris Kern, over at Winter Haven Fire, was nice enough to time trade. So Chris, thank you very much. So Nicole can be here reading questions, as she does every Traeger Kitchen Live.
Doing brisket this weekend. Are you a fan of just salt and pepper or like doing other rubs?
So question is, got someone doing a brisket this weekend. Are you a fan of salt and pepper, or do you like using other rubs? Actually, for me, I mean, if you go with the salt pepper, I like to throw a little bit of garlic in there for me, for my personal preference. But there's a lot of great rubs out there. Combo that I use all the time is Traeger prime rib and coffee. That's a great brisket rub. The whiskey bit ones, we've got the rocks, the grind. Matt Pittman, he's got his holy cow that's great on brisket. There's a lot of good options out there. It just really gets down to your personal preference. But if you're looking for something simple and easy, salt and pepper brisket, you can't go wrong with it, man. Let that beautiful brisket shine through.
Do you have a store?
Question is, do I have a store? Yes. Myself and Nicole have a store about 10 miles from here in Lakeland, Florida. So if you don't know where Lakeland is, or maybe 2 miles, 10, kind of lost my bearings a little bit. Sweaty and hot here today. But yeah, we've got one Whiskey Bent Barbecue Supply. September will be our 7-year anniversary. 2500 Drainfield Road. So if you're ever in, we're about 45 minutes from the Tampa airport, about 1 hour and 5 minutes from Orlando. When people start traveling again, feel free to let me know you're coming, and we'll show you the store and all the hospitality we can.
Any new rubs in the works?
Are there any new rubs in the works? I know at Traeger we're working on a couple things. At Whiskey Bent, we've got a couple irons in the fire, but honestly right now, with as busy as everything's been with the pandemic and how many people are cooking, it's just been hard keeping up with the current product line. So we want to make sure we get the current product line fulfilled and all people's needs addressed, and then obviously looking at other rubs in the future.
Chad, I just bought my first Traeger. What should be the first thing I make?
All right, Chad, I just bought my first Traeger. What should be the first thing I make? I always go back, and Traeger's done such a good job with it. You know, we always used to tell people your first cook should be chicken. The chicken challenge. And I firmly believe in that because it's one of those things that the reason I got the tongs at a pretty young age was I ate a lot of dried out gas grilled chicken. I know my dad's watching this, so I'm trying to step lightly here. But to me, chicken's one of those things, you know, when you had it off a gas grill, it was just always dry, always tough, needed a ton of barbecue sauce. And then you go and you cook breast or a whole chicken on a Traeger, and it's a complete game changer. I mean, all you gotta do is set it to 375, pull it off at 165 internal in the breast, and man, it's the best chicken you ever had. So I would say, if you really want to sit there and go, man, this is the best investment I could have ever made, start it out with chicken and then go from there. You know, I'd say ribs would be a good next cook, and then when you want to get into your longer smokes, start with pork butt. Pork butt's relatively inexpensive. It's going to help you learn how to do those overnight cooks. If you have a mistake, it's not going to cost you a fortune. Get a couple pork butts under your belt, and then move on to that brisket.
Do you prefer Dutch oven or skillet?
Do I prefer a Dutch oven or a skillet? It really depends on what I'm cooking. Like on these potatoes, I prefer a skillet because they just cook better and more evenly. But doing like a Brunswick stew or something like a Ropa Viejo, something like that, obviously a Dutch oven where you can get all those braising liquids in there and kind of submerge the meat is going to be a better option there. So really it all depends on me, the recipe, and the protein.
What else would you pair with this meal aside from potatoes?
What else would I pair with this meal besides potatoes? I can tell you right off the bat, Brussels sprouts. Brussels sprouts with that tenderloin would be bomb. You know, and once again, it would just be the cast iron. You'd probably be at 400. You know, I would just hit them with a little bit of olive oil, salt, pepper. Keep it simple. Throw some bacon in there if you like. And then I would say at 400, you'd be 20 minutes for Brussels. And those served along with that. That tenderloin would be jam up. And you could also go asparagus. Asparagus would be another great hit here.
What probe are you using?
What probe am I using? So I am using a ThermalWorks MK4. About $100 over on their website. Great investment. Besides a Traeger, if you're really getting into cooking outdoors, make sure to invest in one. If the price tag's a little much for you, they also have a thermopop that's under $40. It takes it a couple seconds longer, but another really good tool. So yeah, ThermalWorks. A lot of us guys use them, and they're just really great. They stand behind their product. Awesome instrument.
Did you use fresh horseradish?
Did I use fresh horseradish? I did not use fresh horseradish. I used prepared horseradish. But if you wanted to get some overachiever points, you could. But prepared horseradish has always worked out well for me. And I will tell you, when I do make this, when I make any horseradish sauce, I usually double the horseradish because I really like horseradish.
Last question.
The last question, ladies and gentlemen.
When will your rubs be back in stock?
Last question. When will the Whiskey Bent rubs be back in stock? Oh, funny. We were just talking about that earlier. I don't know. When will they be back in stock? We've had some supply issues due to the pandemic. I would say, guys, in all honesty, hopefully 2 weeks. That's what we're shooting for. As soon as we get a couple of the key ingredients in, which are on their way, we've already got the line set up, ready to roll. So thank you guys for the support, and we'll let you know as soon as they're back in stock. Don't you worry. So and that's it. That's the last of our questions. So, guys, about 14 minutes. Come over to Traeger Grill's Instagram page. Myself and Julie will be chit-chatting about the Traeger Kitchen Live. Want to thank Paul and Nicole again. They come out and help with all these Traeger Kitchen Lives. Paul's got the barn studio looking so dialed in with all the lights. It's great, and want to thank you guys for tuning in. Next week, come back and see us 7 o'clock Eastern right here at Traeger Grills for another amazing Traeger Kitchen Live. Till then, have an awesome weekend and Traeger something. Thanks.